Welcome to Classic Burners. On today's episode, we're going to be going to Old LA with Blast 69 from the Double Vision crew. So hop on board and don't miss this bus. All right, everybody, welcome to the show. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe, comment. We need your input and your involvement because this episode is a very special one. We're going to be going into old school LA with Blast 69 from the Double Vision crew. And Blast is a legendary figure that was there from the very beginning, and he has a lot of cool stories, a lot of local history, and this is a very exciting episode. So welcome, Blast. Much respect and honor. Thank you for coming by, and just want you to know, really appreciate you, my brother.
It's my pleasure, Skill One, and I'm really flattered.
All right, so let's get right into this. Blast, I want to ask you, first of all, let's talk about the early days of LA, of how you came into this, where you lived, the area you're from, and start describing the early days.
Yeah, well, I lived on the border of between Temple and 3rd Streets. I lived right on Beverly. That's where the 14 bus used to go through. And it was a border to like all the crews, you know. You had a lot of gangs in the area as well, and you know we had some issues with them too. And so we were, you know, we got into, you know, at the beginning, early '80s, you know, the popping scene, the breakdancing scene. We were doing that. Then I
Bless, can you mention you mentioned that you had a really hip house that you
yes we had we called it the White House. It was 2 blocks away from Belmont High School. That was like the house to be. It was an old, huge Victorian home, and we had a lot of space there. And that's where anybody that was having whenever there was a ditching party was usually there. And all the girls from school knew about it. A lot of different crews would swing by. And, you know, I had my own little club. We called ourselves the Boys. We're like a chapter, like a clique from Rockwood. Rockwood at the time was a club. It's not like today. It's, you know, it's a pretty full-blown gang now. And these guys are pretty hardcore. But in my day, it was just it was like a football club that played, you know, football on Sundays with other neighborhoods. We rode around in microbuses through parties. A lot of us were like stoners. We had different little crews. We had guys that were like into heavy metal. We had break dancers. That's where Floor Control came around. They were like Bomb Squad. Before they were Bomb Squad, they were called Floor Control. And Rick One, you had Ruben, David, a lot of these guys. Orko, he's pretty famous. I mean, this guy's traveled around the world.
Orko from the Air Force.
Yes,
legendary, one of the best.
He opened up a break
of all time. From Los Angeles.
Of all time. A lot of special people came out of Rockwood. A lot. You know, Rick One, Oracle. We got other guys, Weddle, Snowboy. That guy's a street legend. I mean, that guy was the most charismatic guy I ever came across. He's, you know, me and my brother, Edward, we just meshed well with him. And because of him, you know, we were like, you know what? You know, we can hang out and stuff, and you know, and because we're kind of trying to stay away from that whole, you know, joining clubs and stuff, because these guys got into a lot of trouble. But you know, eventually we ended up being a part of the whole Rockwood scene, and but you know, we're beefing it with other people, man. I mean, we're getting in. We were having it was like the movie The Outsiders. You know, we would meet in football fields and just have a full-on brawl, rumble. And we had a few of those. It was crazy. And, you know, I don't want to mention all these other crews.
Yeah, but this was the early days, basically, of like when there was a transition where a lot of football clubs became gangs.
Exactly. So you're aware of that, right?
You also had the Radiotron.
And then the Radiotron.
And the writing.
Okay, so then Rick One, tells me one day, he says, hey, he goes, I'm doing these like letters and stuff. And I go, really? What is that? Let me check it out. He goes, you know the stuff they're doing in New York? And I was like, let me see what you got. He showed me some stuff and I was like, wow, man, that's pretty nice. Like, man, it's colorful and the lines, it was just amazing to me. I never seen anything like it. And I was like, man, you should keep doing this. And he goes, yeah, because my breakdancing's, it's okay. He goes, I think I like this. I like doing letters. I go, cool. I go, hey, can you do my brother's name? I wish I had it. I don't know if my mom or somebody has it in storage, but he made my brother his name, and I gave him like $10-15. And it was pretty cool. Man, I mean, that's like historic, because probably one of his first pieces before he even did walls. Mm-hmm. Then after that, where he lived, there was a wall on the side of his building. And him and I know Ruben and a couple of the other guys, Shandu, would practice there. And I would always go see what they were doing next. And it was just amazing stuff. No one else was doing this. And then he said, oh, yeah, we started a crew. I ran into him later on. I go, what are you guys called? He said, the LA Bomb Squad. I go, man, that sounds good. And then so they're the first. I don't care what anybody says, man. These guys are the first OGs. The only ones that I think maybe, I don't know, a lot of people will argue Shake City.
The breakdance, Shake City Rockers.
Yes, I started seeing their stuff like right after, like shortly right after. And then they did a piece by my neighborhood. It was okay. It wasn't the greatest, but it was it's primitive stuff. And it was around the same time that I saw the first two pieces, which were at the Belmont Tunnel. And it was the two B-boys, and it said Shandu. And it had a chain going across it.
That's from the battle.
Through the letters.
The battle with Graph 1. That's when he went over.
Was that what it was?
Yeah.
I don't know. I showed up. I took Polaroid pictures of it. Those pictures, I mean, I took good care of them. But for some reason, somebody got their hands on it. Somebody took them out of my photo album.
Wow.
Yeah, I had a picture of those two pictures.
They must have realized the value.
Yeah, and also those two pictures, I had a picture of Elvis that I bought from some man back like in the late 70s, early 80s at some convention. He had a picture of Elvis in his backyard on a motorcycle, and he said, man, nobody has this picture. And I was like, dude, so those three pictures, the Shandu and my Elvis, they took them out of my photo album.
Man,
I know. I wish I would have had them.
Yep.
I would have brought them here today.
Well, luckily there is a little bit of something that survived from that, so we will put that on the screen.
Yes. And then,
as far as those two little B-boys that you're talking about.
So then some time went by, and Risco Güero, rest in peace. Man, it was when he died. It was just Rockwood wasn't the same. It's like he was kind of like the glue that held everybody together. And me and my brother really got along good with him because he was a lot like me and my brother.
Were you starting to draw at this time? Were you starting to do graffiti already?
It was so primitive. I gave it a try. It was awful. It was really toy.
Were you called Blast 69 yet?
Not yet.
Okay.
So then So Güero was one of those guys that dabbled into a little bit of everything. He did his bike racing, dirt racing on his bike. I think he had a red line. I'm not sure. Him and Cheech, and Mike and Manny, and he would do that. He was into the graffiti scene. He was into the club scene, and me and my brother, we knew him from the club scene too. And he was pretty popular in the club scene too. And so we just meshed well together, man. One day he tells me, hey, Paulie, now I started writing Blast 69. I got the name from my Korean best buddy at the time named Presto. And this guy can draw. Like he's been drawing since he was a little kid. Rick One respected him too.
I remember Presto's tags.
Rick One would like, man, this guy's his cartoons are pretty good. I go, yeah, that's kind of what he's known for. It was his characters. And one day he tells me, yeah, you know, we got to start doing this together. I said, yeah, you know, I'm on board. So he's like, you got to come up with a name. And I go, really? Okay, yeah. So he goes, I wrote a list of names. He goes, pick one. It was a list with like maybe 6 or 7 names. And I don't know, Blast stood out. I don't know why. It just did. It just Blast. And I said, I kind of like this name. I go, but there's something missing. It's just too plain for me. And then I started thinking, you know, 69. So, because, you know, at the time, too, you know, a lot of guys were already using 1. So I said, you know, Blast 69 sounds cool. I go, all right, so that became my name.
Get Up Stickers is the ultimate bombing sticker. Made from military-grade materials, these stickers are super easy to peel and were made for putting on tanks. So you know they're going to last. So click on the link below to submit your designs. You don't want to sleep on this.
And I ran it by Rick, and he was like, yeah, man, that's a cool name, man. So Rick and them started, you know, so they were piecing, but nobody was going around tagging everywhere. No one, except one person. And that was Mr. 151 RSL. He wasn't into the hip hop scene or nothing like that. He's just a stoner, you know, with the long hair.
Legendary figure. Because he was up everywhere.
Yeah, had his Walkman on, always carried a bag with bandanas. And this guy just wrote Mr. 150 in simple letters, but you would see it everywhere. You know, you see it in background, in a lot of backgrounds, you know, in movies and stuff. And you know, every time I just saw his name everywhere. It was ridiculous. So then he was the first actual tagger. If you want to get, I mean, you know, if you want to get down to specifics, man. Then after that, the guy that started tagging was, after that, it was me and Geo1 started tagging. We're like what you call like prolific taggers. You know, we're guys that we want to be everywhere. You know, like the guys from the Bomb Squad, they were doing their thing, but they weren't like tagging all over the place. So
they were like focusing on pieces.
Yes, so it was me, Geo1, and Presto too. He didn't like walk miles like I did. I walked from Belmont High School to the Beverly Center. Dude, my feet were killing me. Trust me, I was dying. All the way out there. And the only one giving me competition was Geo1. But, you know, Geo was always hanging out. He, you know, I was doing other stuff too. And so he was like, that's all he did. So he was like, man, he had me beat, especially on the buses. That guy was hitting up the buses. Like I couldn't compete with him on the buses. And after that, my buddy from Colombia, I met this guy from Colombia, his name's Silver. He started tagging. This guy started putting us to shame. This guy started writing everywhere, Silver. Man, he was known like everywhere. And after Silver, it was Sine. Rest in peace.
Sine.
He was everywhere. Man, that guy was everywhere. So these were the original 5 taggers. It was Mr. 151. Between me and Geo1, I don't know who started first, but we both started around the same time. Me and Geo1. And then Silver. And then Sine. And then after Sine came CHAKA. That guy took shit to the next level. Like, it got ridiculous.
And that was in 89, 90, right?
Yes.
By that time.
Yeah, by that time.
You already know the dude, right?
I've seen him in a lot of interviews, and that guy has all his dates and years screwed up. They're not accurate at all. Okay, because I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to explain why. me and Jimmy decided to do a piece inside the Union Elementary School. We're doing my little brother. He wanted to be a tagger, but he wasn't, but he's an amazing artist now. His name's Marcos Reyes. He's got stuff in Pasadena. I went to a couple of exhibitions over there, exhibits. He's an amazing artist. But anyways, at the time I wanted to do his name. So I said, me and Presto will do your name. What do you want us to write? He goes, Spiral. So we wrote Spiral. It came out really nice. Too bad I don't have pictures of it. So it said, we did Spiral, and the janitor there let us do it. His name was Bernardo. Nice guy, hardworking guy. And he let us do it. And his son, he used to take his son to work with him. And, his son had long hair. He was a kid at the time. And I started calling him CHAKA from Land of the Lost. And, because back then, capping was a big thing in my days. In the 80s, we all capped on each other. We never took it...
bagging,
clowning, bagging. We never took it personal. That was a rule. Don't take it personal. It's just for laughs, shits and gigs. So I called him CHAKA from Land of the Lost. And I go, get out of here, dude. You stop bugging us or piecing. And I called him CHAKA, and he kind of got upset. And then his dad hit me up shortly after, and he told me one day, he goes, hey, can you not call my son that? And I was like, oh, okay, everything cool? He goes, nah, he doesn't like it, man. He doesn't like being called CHAKA, dude. And I was like, okay, I'm sorry, man. I won't call him CHAKA again. Sorry, Bernardo. Shook his hand. Nice guy. So a year, maybe 2 years, 2.5 years later, see, that's why he says 82, 83. There's just no way. Because this was like 84, maybe 83. So he came later.
Yeah, he didn't start getting up till 89.
So I don't know why he says that. So I ran into his dad going to the liquor store on Beverly and Union. The same liquor store where Rick One did that Ronaldo hamburger joint. Paid him to do this piece. It was one of the first commercial
legal gigs.
That's the first one I could remember.
Yeah, soon had West Coast Auto on the west side.
Exactly.
But that on the east side, there was Ronaldo.
Yeah, man, you really know your stuff. So, anyways, I ran into him and he's all, hey, how are you? He goes, oh, good. I go, how's everything good? He goes, oh, have you heard about my son? I go, no, what about your son? He goes, he's the guy writing CHAKA all over the place. I was like, yeah, I didn't make the connection. I was like, oh, that's your son? I go, wait a minute. I go, I thought he didn't like the name CHAKA. I go, he was pissed off. What happened? He looked at me and he just kind of, rolled his eyes and said, hey, man, I guess he does like it after all because he's using it now. So that's how that came about.
What a trip.
Yeah.
And then when I first started seeing the Double Vision crew up, a big major area where you were up and the Double Vision crew was up. And first of all, before we even get into that part, can you talk about, give me a roll call and Double Vision crew, how it started?
Well, this is how Double Vision started. So, after Shandu disappeared for a while, I don't know what happened, but he was gone and I didn't see him around. Rick One came up with, I think, K2S. And man, he recruited some guys that are like Deffer,
Prime.
Yeah. Skep's a good friend of mine. Me and that guy have so many good stories together. Yeah.
Duke.
Yeah, all those guys. So I told Presto, I could have easily told Güero because we're really tight. And some of these guys, because some of these guys were from Rockwood. I could have said, hey, I want in, what do I have to do? But I was like, I had my own thing going on at the White House. Had my like little posse, and me and my brother, we had our own little like crew, and we were like, I was like, and I'm gonna get into this graffiti world. I go, I don't, these guys are like too good, and I was like, man, I just, I bet I had an ace up my sleeve. I had Presto. That guy's amazing, and those guys respected Presto. So I go, as long as I have Presto, I think I could have my own crew. So I started my own crew, and then I realized...
Who came up with the name Double Vision?
Presto did. I wasn't crazy about it.
But that's the name of a style, right? Where the letters say two different things at one time.
Correct. He ran the name by me. I wasn't crazy about it. I don't know. I don't know. It's just... even till this day, I mean, it's just okay, Double Vision. I just think it's too simple. But I mean, it's cool, I mean. So anyways, but I used to always come up with most of like what we were gonna do, the ideas, who we were gonna recruit. So I can't like be in charge of everything, because I want to, we're partners. So I said, yeah, we'll go with that name. I don't like being selfish. So I said, yeah, Double Vision's fine. So we stuck with that name, Double Vision.
Who were some of the first members?
Okay, so some guy named Charday. I heard later.
He's from East Side, right?
Yes,
East LA,
these are
Boyle
guys
Heights.
from. So the reason I told Presto, I came up with an idea. I said, dude, no one's touched the East Side. No one. I can't.
East LA.
East LA.
From downtown.
I go.
Boyle
That's
Heights in East LA.
Virgin ground. Mm-hmm. Virgin ground. I go, you know what? We go over there, we could make a name for ourselves. Around here, we're just going to be on everybody else's shadow. You got STN, K2S,
LA Bomb Squad.
LA Bomb Squad. It's like, dude, it's like, nah, we gotta like, we gotta put our stamp. I go, that's virgin ground. Let's go over there and take over. And we did, man. We were over there, dude, man. People used to run up to us.
You guys just started piecing like in the alleys.
The alleys, everywhere we could.
Empty lots.
We used cheap spray cans. Sometimes we would try to rack Krylons, but sometimes, beggars can't be choosers, man. You get whatever you can get your hands on. And, so yeah, and
one of those pieces is a classic birder, and it came out as spray can art in the book.
Okay, yeah.
So let's talk about it. It's a Krylon. It was really big. It was the biggest piece at that time.
Yes.
Other than Crime had maybe a real big piece by Radiotron. But that was the biggest piece in East LA.
Yes.
It's a Krylon. It had a character. It had a roll call. So let's talk about the Krylon piece.
Yeah, we ran out of paint. And I don't know. Somehow we always winged it.
How did you guys get that wall?
I don't know. We were just walking around alleys, and we saw this big wall, and we're like, that's a good size wall. And we noticed that it was kind of like an abandoned section,
like
right
a
there.
lot, or
like
something.
a lot, yeah. So we're like, dude, let's get on it. We took our time, which was cool.
In the daytime?
It was during the day, yeah, and we did that. We also did.
Did you guys have ladders?
No. We just we would get on top of each other. I would kind of do the boost thing, and it was fun. It was a lot of fun, and we had Charday. I don't know. I heard years later that he passed away. I'm not sure.
So
I never.
Just for the viewers, historically reason is that there was in Boyle Heights, East LA, there was. The major or the only really breakdancing and writer crew that was there was called Michigan Force, right? MC Force.
Yeah, MC Force. Yeah.
And so they had guys, legendary writers, and they all were good. They had good hand style. They could tag. It was Deco, Orko, Charday, Task, Sask, Sake.
Yeah.
And what, K9?
Yeah, K9. Those guys were cool. They were part of Double Vision crew. We had a falling out. It was unfortunate. What happened was this guy came up to Presto and told him, hey, I need you to do this. He opened up like a computer school at the time. a small little school. He says, I need you to do a mural with the computer with the class, and promoting my business. And he said, okay, well, I have a crew. And he said, no crew, just you. I'll give you $200, but it just has to be you. And he says, oh man, I don't know, man. It's not cool. And he's all like, well, no deal, dude. And at the time, Jimmy was going through some stuff and he needed the money really bad. I remember him telling me. And I told him, and he told the guy, look, man, well, I need a ladder and I need somebody to assist me. Can I get one other person? Well, I was his best friend. And I said, I'll do it, but dude, you better make sure that the rest of the guys don't find out because it's not cool. And he says, nah, man, they won't. This is like a little business. And
where was it located at?
Honestly, I don't remember.
But is it in East LA?
It was in East LA. Okay. That's all I remember. It was in East LA. And it came out all right. It was pretty cool. So we did it, and the guy paid him. And I think Jimmy wanted to kick me down like, I don't know, $40, $50. I said, yeah, sure, whatever, man. I let him keep the money. It was his deal. And dude, graffiti, when it goes up, it can be in the middle of nowhere, and people are gonna find out. Somehow everybody found out about that. It was crazy. It's mind-boggling. So Dico shows up to the White House, the famous White House, and he knocks on the door, and I open it, and dude, he lets me have it. He lets me have it, and then he punched me in the chest really hard. Really hard. I could have easily taken this guy out, but that's not my style. He was in the right. I was in the wrong. I took it like a man.
But what was he mad about?
He was mad that we didn't run nothing through him. We did a piece without the crew. And this guy was very like, he's one of those, it's everyone or nothing, kind of gun-ho, kind of.
They were very tight.
Very tight, like, nah.
Because like even Michigan Force, they became a neighborhood.
Exactly. They became a neighborhood. Yeah, I heard he was one of the main.
They were the first crews that became a real gang.
Yes.
Before anybody else.
He always had that gang mentality. That's one of the things I didn't really care too much about him. And that's why that didn't surprise me. And
they were good writers. They were writers, they had the talent, they had the hands, but they had that edge to them, like a gangster.
I've never been into that kind of stuff, man.
So that's where you guys kind of split ways.
Yes, he was starting to act too gangsterish, and then he punched me in the chest, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna let him have it because we did, It was kind of uncool. We could have ran it by him, but I kept telling Jimmy, I couldn't have emphasized enough, like, dude, we got to run it by these guys. But Jimmy was like, nah, man, it's gonna become a problem, and I didn't think it was. I think there's nothing like diplomacy, man. There's always a way. With words, man, you can start wars or end wars. There's so much you can do with words, and
it's always nice to respect, like whoever you're working with and locals before you make a move. But hey, there are lessons that young people learn. Right?
Yeah, so that was a lesson I learned, and so after that, we never saw each other again, and we never even went to that part of town anymore. That was the end of that. So I got nothing against them. I wish him the best if he's around. I heard he also passed away.
Yeah, rest in peace. All of them, right?
All of them. If it's true, I don't know. They could be rumors.
Yeah.
A lot of, we lost like all the original 5 taggers. I'm the only one still alive because Mr. 151 died. Geo 1 got shot. Sine got stabbed to death. Presto died in his 30s. And on the 110 freeway, that was a mystery. His death is a mystery. I never got like closure.
Like an accident?
It was an accident. I don't know. That's what they say it was. who knows? But I miss that guy. Man, till this day, sometimes he'll cross my mind and I just break down. Really. I mean, I love that guy.
Rest in peace.
Yes.
Presto 1.
Yeah.
Double vision.
Then I remember when so it's Geo 1, Mr. 151, Sine, Presto. They're all dead. And I'm the only one still here. And yeah, so I guess I'm just, really lucky. And yeah, it's pretty crazy. Life is crazy. You see a lot of good guys come and go.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially in that world.
So Blast, you were there, like you mentioned, since we were, just to put like a cap on the old history of the Radiotron era. You were, speaking of Geo, you were there when they did the robot and when they saved the Radiotron, right? Can you tell us what that was like?
Oh man, it was amazing. That robot was it was huge. It was huge. I just remember looking up, wondering how the hell they did that. And it was just Rick One to me is always going to be my favorite graffiti artist. He's just amazing. To this day, he's just my favorite.
He has a lot of soul and flavor in his style.
Yes. I mean, I would say, and then after him, I think I really like Def, Shandu. I really like their stuff. Risk from West Coast. I remember me and Weddle took the bus to the Pan Pacific, and they were all up there, man. I was like, man, I didn't know all this was going on. And then when I used to tag on the buses, the name. Okay, remember I told you we were like the first taggers that were everywhere.
Yeah.
Well, after us, I started seeing Whisk and Sir everywhere. And but they were really hitting the buses. But those guys were everywhere. Those guys were very
Speaking
prolific.
of buses, you used to use that as your principal mode of transportation. That's how you got around.
Yeah.
You were like one of the first dudes to do a fake bus pass. Huh?
Yes. I had a friend named Manuel, and he told me, "Hey, Paulie, why don't we just make fake bus passes? They're made out of cardboard. They wouldn't be too hard to duplicate." And I was like, you know what? That's a great idea. So I got a ruler. I measured the original bus pass, got a ruler, and cut it to the precise. Did the bus pass. Man, I did that for about a year. Actually, 2 years, because I did it in the 8th grade. Never had a problem with it. And then I did it in the 9th grade when I started going to Belmont, and I got thrown out of Belmont and went to Lincoln for a year. So I had to take 2 buses to go to Lincoln because I got kicked out of Belmont for that's a long story. Anyways, so what I did, I did the bus pass, the whole bus pass, and then I also drew the sticker. One time I was going to Lincoln, and the bus driver goes, "Hey, come back." And I was like, oh, man, I think he noticed. And he looks at me. He goes, "Man, you think I must be an idiot." He's like, he goes, "That sticker's not real." In my mind, I'm thinking the whole thing's fake. So I was kind of still flattered. So he's like, "This bus pass," he goes, "that sticker's not real. You made that sticker." And I was like, "Oh, yeah, man, I'm sorry, whatever." He goes, man, get off my effing bus." I'm like, "Okay." And I jumped out of the bus, man. Yeah, so yeah, it was crazy.
So you needed to improve your sticker.
Yeah. So I improved my sticker. I was just worried that I was gonna get the same bus driver again. That was the problem.
Now, you were the first guy to have like a female writer in your crew, right?
Yes. Well, this is when I was writing everywhere. I was dating this girl. She was Cuban. She was really pretty. Her name was Pat Torres. And we met in junior high. And then, so she used to always tag along with me. And I was like, I might as well write her name too. So I was thinking, I got to give her a name. So I said, well, she's a female, so I'll call her Secret. Because nobody needs to really know. So I would write Blast 69 Secret, and that got around for a long time everywhere. A lot of people would hit me up, hey, who's Secret? Who's Secret? Because when you hear that Secret,
like, it's a secret,
you're just so curious. And so she was my lookout. Back then we didn't have cell phones So I used to tell her, if you see a black and white or you see anything crazy, let me know, flag me down or something, give me a sign. So I was in Silver Lake one time, and I was writing Blast 69 on. I even remember the wall. It was like a half a wall. I was doing the bottom, really big. One thing about me, which is in retrospect, I kind of regret, because I've noticed a lot of guys, they're like on movies and stuff like that, videos, their names will always come out in the background. That's because they would write somewhere where people were writing. My thing back then, I thought it was a good idea. Now I don't, because now it's like my name doesn't come out in certain things. Because I used to, like, if I saw a bunch of writing here, I said, I'm going to go across the street and write it by itself. That way people drive by, they just see that and they remember it.
Yep.
That was my strategy. So I never liked writing next to anybody. But now it's like, I should have done that, because now I see murals and, like I watch your show and I'm like,
that's
dude.
true too, because when I see your tag on bus benches, usually they were the bus benches in between the ones, like, let's say if the bus, like on the main corners, that's where everyone would write on those benches. But then, like, on the next stop down, there would be like a Blast 69
by itself.
By itself.
Yes,
exactly.
that was. But see, now that kind of hurt me. Mm-hmm. Back then, it was a good idea though.
Yeah,
but not anymore, because it's like now I see a lot of stuff where like, my name should have been there, because I was
in the movies they want like that. All that
they
graffiti.
want it's all there. Yes, we want to catch this. Mm-hmm. So that's But my name did come out on Lethal Weapon, the first one. Mm-hmm. It was one of my whack tags. But it came out, and the first Lethal Weapon, when Mel Gibson's chasing that car on foot, and then he stops to take a breather, you can see my name right behind them for a few seconds.
Mm-hmm. Okay, but what about Secret? Just look out, because you were telling a story.
So I was writing Secret. I was writing Blast 69. Right when I was going to get to her name, I looked around. I didn't see her. This car pulls up and stops in the middle of the street. So to me, I got a bad vibe, because the way this guy went about it. It wasn't very professional. It wasn't like, because you could tell, cops have a demeanor. This guy, I had a bad feeling, man, because instead of jumping out and showing me the badge, or running up to me, trying to grab me, then showing me the badge, I would have been, this guy's a cop. But it was this, he was like a Caucasian, kind of had that 70s porn star look. He had cowboy boots on.
Oh, man.
Yeah, and he looked kind of grungy, and he flashes. The crazy thing is he leans over and he opens the passenger door. Yikes. So I'm facing the passenger door, and he says, "Get in the car," and he flashes me this badge, but like really quick, like that. I'm like, what? And I'm like,
straight maniaco.
So I said, okay, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pretend that I'm gonna go towards this car, so he can kind of like feel like okay, it's working, and then take off. You kind of want to get these guys off guard, and it gives me time to think, like your next move.
So what happened to your lookout, Secret? She was asleep on the job?
She was asleep on the job. Yeah, I got another story about another guy that was supposed to be my getaway car. And when I showed up, the car was gone. But I'll tell you that story later.
All right.
Yes, it's like, man, it's like,
so you just have
one job.
What happens with this psycho?
So this guy, I take off. I go towards my left. I start running, and this guy leaves his car in the middle of the street starts chasing me on foot. And it didn't stop for a long time, man. This guy had cowboy boots on it, but he could move. So so now I go behind the building, and he's still on my tail. And so I somehow get into like on top of a bungalow. Dude, he climbed it too.
Damn.
So they're like laundry mats that are behind an apartment complex. They're like bungalows, and they're like far apart. So I'm running, and I'm thinking, oh man, it's a pretty high drop. So I'm thinking, I gotta jump to the next bungalow, but I don't know if I could make it. It's like in the movies. This is just so cliche, you know. And I'm like, I gotta get across, and this guy's like coming. He's like right on me. I go, if I make the jump, he's not gonna make it, especially with those cowboy boots. And I don't even know if I could make it, and I'm pretty athletic. So I backpedaled a little, wanted to get a nice lead start. Man, I missed the wall by like centimeters, but I was able to get my forearm on top of it. Like I landed like this. Boom, man. All this was bruised up.
Dang.
And then I still had to pick myself up. And I picked myself up, and I made it.
Dang.
Dude, he was doing this number, like, and then he was like, no way, I'm not gonna do it. But honestly, I think this guy was either a predator or a serial killer. That's the vibe I have to this day.
Like just using the badge to kind of
this guy wanted to abduct me, man.
Yeah.
And like, police never showed. He had no radio. He had no backup. I mean, I don't know. It's just the whole thing's really fishy.
Yeah, stuff happens,
and I think this guy was a predator, man. And I think I got lucky. I got away from him.
Back in those days, it was a hillside strangler.
Yes,
and Richard
maybe it
Ramirez,
was him.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was
that's
crazy.
the area.
Yeah, that was the area.
That was the area.
It was pretty wild.
All right. Well, then, from that point on, let's talk about what.
Yeah, I had another story I was going to tell you with the guy that was supposed to be my getaway driver.
Oh, yeah.
It was Razzle. Yeah. We called him Russian. And he was like a brother. Great guy. So we're doing the piece in East LA, the one with the Mickey Mouse, the wizard. I don't know if you ever saw it.
Yeah.
It was a cool piece.
I had a picture of that.
You do?
I had.
You did? It was a cool piece. I really, that was one of my favorite ones. So anyways, we got permission to do that one. The Payless shoe store let us do it. So, we ran out of paint, and Presto's like, dude, we just need maybe like a few more cans. And, he goes, and we're good. So I'm like, man, are you serious? Fuck it, dude. I'm going to go rack me some cans, you know. I mean, they didn't sell us cans anyways. You know, if you're a minor, they're not going to sell them to you, you know, because I would have just bought them.
There were some auto parts stores around there.
It was called Builders Emporium.
Builders Emporium.
Yeah. It was in East LA. I forgot what street it was on. But anyways, I went in there, and I looked around. First, I told Russian... I told him, hey, buddy, wait for me right here in case shit hits the fan. I'm going to come out. We're going to get out of here. He goes, okay. I mean, it's that simple. I go in there. Got like four or five cans on me. And I'm going towards the door, and there's this guy by the door. I knew something wasn't right. And I was like, I'm pretty sure nobody saw me. So I went for it. I started walking out the door, and he freaking grabbed me by the arm. And I told myself, dude, I'm not getting arrested. I'm not going to jail. I got a getaway driver. I'm fast. So I freaking punched this dude, and he let go. And I ran out the door. So I go around the building. My freaking getaway car's gone.
Jeez.
Yes. I'm like, what the hell? So now I look back. Dude, there's like about 8 employees chasing me in the parking lot. So I'm running. They're right on me. I grab a cart, and I threw it like that. and the guy goes flying, man, and he falls, dude. I couldn't believe I hit him. The other 4 guys were still on me. By this time, they're tired. They kind of started slowing down because I already had maybe 2 blocks, and they started to slow down. So then I start running across the street. It's just the worst luck. 2 cops. I don't remember, it was a donut shop, I don't know what it was, but they were eating, snacking on something, and they were right across the street. And I was going into their direction. And these guys were trying to flag the cops, like, grab them.
Yeah.
So now it's like, I got to go back towards these guys. It's better than the cops.
Yeah.
So I made a U-turn, and now I'm running towards the dudes that were chasing me. I played football. So, man, I was doing all kinds of...
Getting ready to break some tackles?
I was doing some serious Marcus Allen. I was juking these guys.
Barry Sanders?
And I did. I was doing some serious Barry Sanders work on these guys, man. And somehow I did. I got away from all of them. I just threw moves. But, dude, I mean, you could only... you're going to run out of gas.
Yeah. So
I got away. But, now the cops know. So I'm running in the middle of the street. Right? I'm running in the middle. I'm up by this point, and I still have the cans on me, which is crazy that I did all that with all those cans. That's a shocker. I didn't think about that till later. So then I'm running down the street, and I look back, and dude, all I see is black and whites. Tons of them. And I just collapsed in the middle of the street. I was just tired. I just dropped. Dude, they beat the shit out of me.
Wow.
Yeah, they do. They fucking started kicking me, punching me.
The football team caught up to you.
Yeah.
And they were doing after the play was after the whistle blown.
Man.
They were getting late hits.
So I was a minor. So they took me back into the store. And the sheriff, I remember, walks into the room and he locks the door, and it was just me and him. He had these big ass freaking steel toe boots and
big sheriff
shoes. And dude, he just kicks me, boom, right here, so hard. I was like, oh my God, it was so bad, man. The pain was crazy. But you know what? I'm gonna tell you something. I'm kind of glad I got caught, because that was the last time I did anything like that. And I'm kind of glad he kicked me. Shit like that, it's good, man. Because, nowadays telling kids, hey, don't do it, blah, blah, blah. Parents don't hit their kids anymore. I mean, you need to get the shit scared out of you sometimes. There's consequences. And sometimes that helps you, and that helped me. I mean, after that, dude, I was done with racking, and my parents had to go to the station. Secret was with them, and they took me. They let me go because I was only like 17. I got lucky, and and my buddy, I was like, dude, where the hell were you, man? You're not going to believe what he said. It was like one of those where like, oh my God. He was like, dude, the sun was in my face because I just went to the shade. I don't know where the shade was, but that's what he told me.
Wow.
Yeah. I was like, dude, I could strangle this guy. And then there was another time where me and Presto were tagging in back of a bus on Whittier. Was it 6th Street or Whittier? One of those. And freaking... policeman taps me on the shoulder, and I look back, and he's standing right there with his partner, and he tries to tackle me, and I throw a move on him, and he ends up falling on the floor, and I take off. Presto tried throwing the same move on him too, and they tackled him, and they took him to what was it, Parker Center or what? No, what was the police station on 1st Street? What's that police station called? I forgot the name of it, but there's a police station on 1st Street. They took him there, and he's Korean, and Korean, that shit doesn't fly too well with his parents were strict, man. They were like, dude, you better get an A. you better not miss school. And, you know, and then something like this.
Yeah.
It's crazy. He told me his parents beat the shit out of him. He said it was bad. And I didn't see him for weeks after that. He was grounded. And, yeah, so
that was pretty much the demise of the Double Vision crew at that time.
Yes, and then, you know, and then I told you the story with Deco. And then after that, I was back in LA. Yeah.
Okay. Well, you know what? What's really super cool about this episode is that, you know, you're bringing up a lot of stuff that is old LA, like and stuff. And I remember in talking with you earlier, you had mentioned you had actually seen one of the influential things to you was seeing the what we now know it's the Chaz skulls with the fedora. But why don't you explain the experience as a 9-year-old kid?
Okay, so before Rick won, there was I never saw graffiti other than when I was about 9 or 10 years old. I was with my dad in his old 60s Pontiac, early 70s Pontiac, and we were on our way to like I believe it was like to the Highland Park area, and it was off the 110. And you know how there's pillars?
Yeah, yep.
Like pillars. It's an old freeway.
I know exactly which one you're talking about.
I saw a skull's face, but I don't know if it was a stencil or if it was freehand, but it was well done. And it had a fedora with a feather. And man, I don't know why it intrigued me. I have no idea why, but I kept like, wow, that is so cool. I never saw anything like it. And then, you know, many years later, you know, Rick was showing me some stuff. So, you know, so those were the first two. So Shandu brought it up on your show. Shandu brought up the skull with the fedora. So I was like, oh man, I'm not the only one that saw that.
Chaz Bojorquez.
Yes.
He's now, you know, obviously a recognized artist, and you know he's been the graffiti community. You know, he's part of it. Like we're all working.
See, I didn't know that.
Now.
I didn't know any of that.
Yeah, but he out of all of everybody here in LA, he's the earliest that took like the barrio calligraphy and the cholo type of writings and scripts and made an art form out of it.
Wow, that's so
and
cool.
that was a giant stencil that he took.
It was,
and he
right?
Did that,
Yeah.
right on where there's a staircase and a big pillar, right when you come through the
Yes, that's exactly where I
freeway in from Dodger Stadium into Highland Park.
Exactly,
and all
that's exactly where I saw it.
Yeah,
exactly
that is legendary. There's just like the cats in the LA River. Like a lot of people don't know about that, but that's like iconic old LA street art. All right, Blast. Yeah. And then speaking of iconic street art, you brought a little figure you made of Mr. 151.
Yeah, well, I am a toy collector. I collect toys from like the 50s, the 60s. I got a few stuff from the 40s. 80s is pretty cool. A lot of good toys came out of the 80s. You know, I got all the Evel Knievel, $6 Million Man, He-Man, all that stuff. And I collect other stuff too, you know, many other things. But but toys is a pretty big collection that I happen to have, and sometimes I fix toys if they're broken or something, and sometimes I kind of like change them up. Like I was watching The Simpsons, and there's a bus driver on The Simpsons that looks exactly like Mr. 151. When I saw him, I go, man, that's Mr. 151 if he was a cartoon. So I go, you know what? I bought his toy on eBay. And I go, I'm going to make him into Mr. 151. So that's exactly what I did. So I got him. He always had his Walkman on, which this guy does. And so I made those shorts into denim because that's what he would wear. And I made his little Cortez because that's what he would wear. And then his Rockwood jersey. He always had a Rockwood jersey on with a King's cap.
Wow.
So I made him the King's cap. And man, I showed it to a few guys and everybody wants to buy them off of me. And
well, that's really a unique historical
piece.
Yes,
I got a patch. And I got a little patch and I made it into like one of those security patches.
Yeah.
I found, and I cut it up and I made it into his little gym bag that he carried with all the little bandanas.
That's cool.
Yes, I put it together like that, and you know, it's pretty cool. Mr. 151's a legend, man.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. And now, you know, it's kind of nice that it's very rare to find anyone who actually knew him or could describe or talk about him like that. So, but for all the you know, even in my days, his landmarks were still up everywhere. You know. You know, I came a little bit later than you guys, but I saw all of this. I saw your tags, saw his tags. Yeah, like I said, I even met you one time on the bus.
Wow, that's
I know
cool.
you don't remember, but to me, it was a bigger deal because I was a young guy and you were already like a legend.
Wow,
you know?
Thanks, man. Wow, I mean, you know, it's you know, as you get older, man, you know, you think you're like irrelevant and so when you know, you run into guys like yourself that have been around, that have this platform, it's just amazing that, you know, that I'm recognized and I'm remembered. I mean, I really thought I was like forgotten and stuff.
Well, you've come out like I said in Spray Can Art, also in the history of Los Angeles Graffiti.
Yeah, I came out in both
there.
of those books.
You came out in both of those books, plus this, and this is exactly why we're doing it. This podcast is all about like making sure we preserve, you know, the history of this art form here in Los Angeles, and that's why we're really grateful that you were able to make it out, and just wanted to give you our salute.
Thanks.
Respect.
You know, and I also like graffiti's it's still a part of my life. It's you know, because there's so much you could do with it. Like my son's into wrestling now. He goes by the name of Paul Strikehard, and he's gonna make his debut in a few months.
Yeah, like what got you guys hyped on wrestling? Was it the Luchador Mil Máscaras style? Or
that was part of it. I grew up with that. I love that stuff. I love those old Mexican lucha movies. No, well, we did the backyard thing, and then that led to this, and you know, and then so that's.
Okay, any shout outs or last words, because we're running. The time is we're already like.
Oh, we are okay.
And he's gonna edit it to make it smooth or whatever. But
sure. Okay.
All right, Blast. Any shout outs or last words?
Yes, I'm gonna shout out to my son, of course. Shout out to all the guys from Rockwood, the OG Rockwood, K2S, Rick One. Who else? Man, it's when you're here, it's like you just totally forget. I know I'm forgetting a lot of people, but man, you know, anybody that went tagging with me, I would go tagging with Geo1 sometimes. You know, went tagging with Sine once. You know, it's cool because these guys are legends. You know, I got to go tagging with these guys a few times, so that was kind of cool. And so rest in peace. You know, all those guys I mentioned. And shout out to all the guys from the White House, the boys. Shout out to my son and all his friends, and of course my family. And I guess that's it.
Yeah, all right, cool.
Yeah,
well, yeah, I want to say a shout out to the staff from Classy Birders. I want to thank Sean, who's the editor, doing a fantastic job. Pete, executive director, Gavin, the linebacker who does everything, Blanca, the marketing.
Yeah.
I mean, these people, this team, without it, we wouldn't be doing none of this.
You got a hell of a staff.
They're a hell of a team, and I appreciate them. I just wanted to give them a shout out.
You gave me a red carpet treatment, man. I mean, you know, it's nice.
It's an honor to have you here. With that, we want to thank you, the audience, without which none of this is possible, and we appreciate you. And we'll see you on the next episode.
I hope
Classic
so.
Burners.
Yes.
Thank you very much for watching. Peace.
Peace.
Because time is our most precious resource, always remember that every minute, every second, and every moment matters. So let's do our best to live a kind, compassionate, and loving life. God willing, we'll see you in the next episode. 1.
Monstro, Rocka, Dali, the natives are restless. Yeah, I say the natives are restless. The natives are restless.
Rock Irish science.
Let's go, let's go.
Yo, let's gather here a second, taking the atmosphere. As I steer this vessel like a Chevrolet Cavalier, I'm a native to this culture, chasing vultures up out of here. Fuck out of here, a lot of work put in like Vladimir. We dismissing fear. Listen here, if your loyalty shifts over clout to the point where you disappeared and disappear, you overlooked those who wrote the book. How does that work? How you a factor when there's gaps in your chapters? Let's cancel the chatter off the grid, damage your scanner, shed some light in this tavern, and hold this mic just like a lantern. I don't settle for the standard or nestle in the pasture, turn a happy camper into a snack for a pack of panthers. My pops would often reminisce on the mothership landing, and then become sad in it how the brothers disbanded over money mismanaged and traditions.